What the North is insisting is that they have fooled the South through what they call deceptive operations. Let's dissect the North's move with Stephen Noerper this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. The North claims that the fire drills were just deceptive operations. It's also legitimizing the drills, insisting that the South does the same. What's your take on the argument?
Well, the important thing here is that we've had a volley allegedly of 350 artillery over the course of 3 days. So it's the persistence of that. Whether or not there were psychological operations involved, as Kim Jong-un claims, is a little less relevant. That's simply a back and forth and clearly designed to provoke the ROK military and the U.S. ROK alliance. What's most important, though, is we've a lot of fire. And so if you live near Yeongbyon-do or the islands around it, clearly it's not a time when you're feeling you're at your safest. That risk to security is important because it's a challenge at the northern limit line. However, do note that everybody has fired and returned fire within the lines that have been set out. And so it's important not to overplay the hand, but it's important to realize it's a serious start to the new year and one that deems a necessity to try to get inter-Korean relations to a better place and try to establish a little more calm across the DMZ.
Right, like you and my colleague Min Jung reported, the North carried out live fire drills for 3 straight days since Friday. Then what's the intention behind the North's provocations at the beginning of the year?
Well, clearly they're trying to arrest local and international headlines. A show of demonstration after the plenum meeting by Kim Jong-un, but also designed in a world distracted by Gaza and Ukraine, that North Korea is saying we're still here and we're starting the year with these types of artillery rounds. That garners a lot of international attention. It raises questions about future missile tests. We've just had a year where we had 5 intercontinental ballistic missile tests. And of course, there's concern about a 7th nuclear test. So at this time, when tensions are high, when rhetoric is high on both sides of the DMZ, it's important to keep a measured tone and to try to look at the North's enhancements of their technological capability in a regional and a global context. So trying to grab the headlines is their main goal here. And we should understand that by way of North Korean propaganda and be somewhat constrained in our response beyond the military response to downtick the message and to try to de-amplify that message and reduce tensions.
So the North may be seeking some attention from the international community at the moment. And today here in South Korea, January 8th, marks the leader Kim Jong-un's 40th birthday. How likely is it that there'll be another round of military provocations like the fire drills over the weekend? And how likely is it that there'll be maybe possibly a 7th nuclear test? What do you think?
Well, we'll see what happens in the coming few months. The North Korean leader has not demarcated his birthday yet as a national holiday. We'll see how he marks his 40th observance. The upcoming anniversaries of the birth of his father, Kim Jong-il, and his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, generally mean heightened activity. They're also responding to U.S. ROK military exercises of late. So do expect to see some heightened activity, and let us hope that it doesn't go to a 7th nuclear test and that there's an ability to stem what we have seen as a rash of long-range missile testing. And so their enhancements on the missile front should be very concerning to us, as well as questions about the level of plutonium that they're harvesting. This warrants a lot of good attention and really an intent to get to the negotiating table with North Korea sooner than not.
Sure. Kim Jong-un may stay low profile on his birthday like he did last year. Now, will Kim Jong-un turning 40, though, be a turning point for him in any way with regard to his role over the regime in the new year? What do you think? Maybe further putting Chue, his daughter, in the spotlight as his successor?
Sure. There has been a lot of attention about Kim Jong-un and whether she will step up. She's only 10 years old, so there would have to be probably a time of regency were she to lean in. That's what South Korean national intelligence has been reporting through the National Assembly, that she is the most likely candidate. But of course, we haven't been able to always predict that. Kim Jong-un came as something of a surprise when he moved up the ranks under Kim Jong-il and emerged as the preference. However, for Kim Jong-un, it's important. It's 40 years, which means we no longer can refer to the younger leader or the new leader of North Korea. He's firmly been in control since his father's 2011 passing and his assumption of duties in 2012. So we're marking now 12 years of Kim Jong-un being in control. And so that means that we're dealing with a leader who has matured, and let us hope that there's a way to encourage him to a more responsible role on the global stage. Clearly, the outreach to China and Russia of late has concerned the U.S., Korea, Japan trilateral. And so we'll have to see how this emerges. But it seems that the leader is in no way inclined at this point to any sort of more peaceful resolution, but really has upticked both rhetoric and these tests, which should concern us.
Definitely. Before I let you go briefly, Kim Jong-un also sent a message to Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida over the weekend, expressing his condolences over the recent series of deadly earthquakes over in Japan. This is a pretty rare move for Kim Jong-un to make, though, isn't it?
It is a rare move, and we haven't had a move like that by a North Korean leader. The number two did in 2011 after the tragic earthquake and tsunami there, but we have not had this sort of expression. It's important to know because perhaps Kim Jong-un is trying to project himself as more of a regional and global leader, and it is an outreach to the Japanese and an expression of concern. At the same time, he also reached out to Iran and expressed concern about the bombing there that killed so many. So Kim Jong-un trying to look like he's projecting himself more globally now, and that may have implications that we should note, in particular if we're able to transition that to some international leverage on him. And perhaps Japan has inroads now with North Korea and could be coordinated through the South Korea, Japan, U.S. trilateral in a way that's constructive. But trying to engage North Korea now is important because the rhetoric has increased on both sides and the tensions are high.
Indeed. Thanks so much for sharing your insight this morning. You enjoy your afternoon there.
Thank you. Aloha, and appreciate the opportunity.